We've actually been in this current meta for about 2.5 months already, and we've had a couple of recent updates that have really changed it around. There's some things that are really the cornerstone of your loadout, or they should be, and if you were playing Fortnite before Chapter 5, the meta right now is like entirely different than it was in the OG season. Starting with the weapons, we're going to go from longest distance to shortest distance. So first we got the Reaper Sniper Rifle, which is honestly the meta definer this season. Everyone is packing this in their loadout, and if you're not, you should. This is always something that should be in your loadout, doesn't matter what game mode you're playing. Next we got the Striker AR, which is the fastest DPS of all the ARs. It has the fastest fire rate. Personally, I've kind of fallen out of favor with these ARs this season, but I would say it's probably the best one you can get your hands on. In terms of both game modes, it's the one that'll actually spray through walls. And next we have the Nemesis AR and the Enforcer AR, and I'm going to put them both in depends on situation, which take depends on situation to mean it's useful in one game mode and not the other, or it's useful in squads but not solos. These are the higher power, less fire rate versions of the Striker, so Striker is just the go-to. Now we have the Thunderburst SMG, which is picked up in this season. I think everyone is recognizing how damn good this is, and even though it got a recent nerf, it's still a perfect weapon, no matter what game mode you're playing, and you can kit this to pretty much be an AR replacement. That's why these two ARs have kind of fallen out of favor. I think we have the first weapon that I consider truly garbage, and that's the Hyper SMG. And when you look at its face, it's got a decent fire rate, but honestly it doesn't have a lot of power. It's got a lot of kick, and these two weapons, the Striker SMG, or rather the Striker AR and the Thunder SMG, they can just straight up replace that gun and be more effective in more situations. Next, we got the Ballista Shield, which with the current updates is now garbage. This thing was really good at the beginning of this season, but now it barely even defends you. People have kind of picked up that you can use cluster bombs or EMPs on it. Just don't pick it up. You're gonna end up dying. It'll cost you the game for sure. Now, one of the best weapons in the game, if you kit it correctly, is actually the pistol. Now, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of perfect because it doesn't have the fire rate to get through walls, but it has high accuracy. If you put a little scope on it, you can put a drum mag on it. It's got a lot of modability, and it's another one of those weapons that has really come into favor as people have mastered the recoil system. You'll actually be ahead of the curve if you start using this weapon right now. Lock-on pistol, straight dookie. I don't know why it's in the game. I think they put it there because they were on vacation and they just wanted to give us something, but right now it's just clogging the loot pool. The pump shotgun of this season, honestly it really depends on the situation. I would not use this in zero build. When it comes to shotguns, it's honestly pretty simple. Does the pump hit a one-hit headshot or doesn't it? More often than not, in zero build, it's not going to one-hit headshot, so you're always going to be going for the auto. But unfortunately, even in build mode, this shotgun doesn't one-hit headshot either, so you kind of got to be a good builder and a good editor to really capitalize on it. And the auto shotty goes right below the sniper because this damn thing defines the entire season. If you get your hands on the mythic version of this, you'll dominate no matter what you're playing. Build, zero build, ranked. Oscar's auto shotty is freaking everything in this season. Another weapon that's very situational, though I do get some use out of it, I would say the anvil launcher, bottom of the B row. It can be really useful for destroying buildings actually, but if you're in build mode, there's honestly no reason to pick this up. It can target cars, I guess, but cars are only really useful in zero build mode. Next, we got the EMP camo, and this definitely depends on the situation. It's probably under the anvil launcher. I've really failed to get like much use out of this. I don't think it actually EMPs people. I've gotten so close to them and I've done no damage with it. I think it's only for EMPing cars, which is honestly kind of dumb. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. However, it does make you invisible, and for certain situations like reviving your teammates. Just picture a scenario where you're sitting on top of the revive truck, reviving your teammates, and nobody can see you even if they're running around the van. I've actually had that happen. Big Bush is actually not in the game anymore. Cardboard box. It's a total gimmick for the Metal Gear Solid crossover, and it's doo-doo. It's absolute doo-doo. There's no way to make this work, honestly. If you get killed by someone in a cardboard box, you really need to, you need to take a nap and rethink your game plan. Next, we have briefcase turret, and it definitely depends on the situation, though I'll put it above all of these. If you're fighting an NPC boss or you're in zero build mode, it can actually be very useful. You just gotta use it correctly. However, I find it hard to justify actually like carrying it outside of my outside of my landing spot. Next, we got the EMP shield breaker, and these are freaking god tier. Honestly, if you're gonna take any throwable item, I would take these, and I would even take them over the cluster bombs for the simple fact that they will disable cars. They will really hurt NPCs. You can use them to get gold out of vending machines if you need that, which can assist you in getting heals. There's so many uses to these damn things. They're definitely my favorite throwable. Crash Pad Jr. Oh my god, it's just like Son of Godzilla. It's absolute garbage. Something that never needed to change. The only reason this actually exists is because you used to be able to do a method with the Crash Pad where you could break through people's builds, and they were never able to fix that. So now we just have this completely useless movement item in the game. Cluster Clingers, I guess, really depend on the situation. They're definitely at the top of these right here, because they're useful in build mode. If you throw them at the top of people's builds and sort of spray them out, it'll go in between it, and turbo build will not stop it. However, it's not useful for stopping cars. It's more situational. Let me make mention of fireflies as well, and you can only get these from the munitions NPC. I honestly don't see the situation in which I'll be using these. I gotta put them in garbage. The only reason you actually get the munitions NPC is so that you get free shockwaves from them. So maybe you'll throw them when you get them. And we got the Porta Bunker. This is the last throwable item on the list. And obviously this depends on the situation. You can't even get this in build mode. But I feel like this current meta is so movement centric, especially with the TMNT mythics. Unless you're playing like high level professional tournaments, the Porta Bunker isn't going to be as useful as just having some shockwaves and one of the TMNT movement items. Oh, I actually already mentioned the Crash Pad Jr., and I'm glad because it's garbage. The other two movement items are actually pretty good. Shockwaves depend more on the situation. I actually think both of these kind of depend on the situation, huh? It's hard. I'm gonna have to give it to Shockwave. Shockwave is a perfect item, and there's a reason it's been in the game so long. Yeah, you gotta restock your shockwaves. You can only hold 6, they don't recharge. Whether you're in build or zero build mode, they're really useful. They'll get you out of life or death situations very easily. And the grapple blade, as much as I love it for zero build, the movement is very damn awkward. And your flight path is pretty predictable. You can get shot very easily using this. So let's just say if you're in zero build, go double movement and have this thing, because you can get really cheesy wins using it. Like say if someone is holding high ground on you and you use a shockwave or the TMNT mythic to get up and then you just smack them around, more often than not, they fall off the mountain and just die. And the last thing I want to mention before we get into the heals is actually the G-Wagon. And the G-Wagon is underrated. I feel like people don't use this enough. This thing has a good deal of health. Car tactics they're really important in zero build. If you haven't mastered fighting from a car, then you're gonna get absolutely swayed on by a team that has. Now, in terms of the heals, Epic Games has completely changed how healing works this season. So all of the items that are the classic OG healing, they can actually be used while you're moving, and they work over time. Rather than getting 50 shield all at once, you'll get 5 shield every second while you're using the item. On top of that, we also have a medallion system in the game right now that allows you to heal up to a certain amount of shield depending on how many medallions you have. So depending on how many medallions you have, how deep into the game you are, the value of your heals completely changes. So we're gonna start with what I consider the most valuable healing item, the med kit. Believe it or not, if you have medallions on you and you're playing zero build, you effectively have more than 100 regenerable shield, and that pretty much means that your only focus should be your green heals. And the thing about having green heals is you get to make really weird storm plays. Literally, other players are forced to run into circle and you can be behind them shooting them in the back. Straight up, this wins people money, and often in competitive lobbies it just comes down to heal offs with these items. So medkit, top tier. The one that's under that is the Flowberry Fizz, and it's not only that it gives you shield, it's not only that it works on your teammates, but it's that it gives you the hop rock effect, the zero gravity effect, and it combines with all your movement items to just make them bonus. You'll pretty much get like 2 times, maybe 2.5 times the distance per shockwave if you're under the effects of 0G. So that makes it the best shield item in my opinion. After that, we have the big shields because you can use them over time. And because you can use them over time and you can use them while moving, that pretty much kills the small potion. You're really only going to use small potion at the beginning of the game, but I would still put it there because if you're a builder, it is still a very damn good healing item. It's like the timing is perfect. However, the pizza goes right below that. I feel like this is more of a squad item. Someone holding a pizza is really good, but the fact that it doesn't heal your green, it only does 3 health heals. So that kind of kills it for solo play, that kind of kills it for zero build play. Next, we got both the fish, and I'm favoring the flopper over the shield fish. Just as I said, medallion season, rechargeable health, you always want to have those green heals at the end of the game, which is why the food items are going to be right under that. Things like corn, cabbage, they give you 10 per second. Not ideal, but if you have a decent sized stack, it can make a difference. Regular flowberry is under that because that 0G effect is very, very valuable. And then something that I'm not even going to put in the heal tier list, I don't want you guys picking it up. I want us to start a movement. Don't pick up the bandages. Hashtag, what do we say? Remove bandages. Hashtag remove bandages. Because these things are just taking up loot pool space. There's no situation where you're actually going to want to take them with you anywhere, and we just need to get them out of the game at this point. Epic Games remove grenades. Can we get them to remove these bandages, please? And ranking the mythics, this is how I had them ranked at the beginning of the season. I think I got to put Oscar's automatic shotgun at the very, very top, and then this is actually more or less how I still feel about it. The Striker Mythic is really, really good. It's just the auto shotty is so broken. It'll literally win you fights you're not supposed to win. I've had so many really bad losses to it. Painful losses, honestly. I will not shed a single tear when this mythic item is out of the game. And the only thing we have left to rank is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle items. And if you want to check my last video, I actually did compare them to each other, and they are different. Not in terms of dash distance, but in terms of attack pattern. And I'm just going to put them below the regular mythic weapons in their own order. I think Leonardo's is the best. Not only does he have a decently tricky attack pattern, but he also moves the furthest while attacking. Donatello's is right under that because he actually steps into the spot where Leonardo attacks. So he technically moves further, but honestly, I feel like that puts you in an extended situation. If you end up using this in like a battle, it'll put you in the square with the person you're trying to attack. Next, we got Mikey's mythics, and I do really like the way that the attack animation looks on it. I think that's why I favor it, though it has a shorter attack length than Leo and Donnie. And the bottom of the barrel, which is odd, is Rafi Sai. Not only does it have the shortest attack length, but it has the shortest attack animation. You literally don't leave the ground, so you're very easy to shoot, and it barely does any damage per strike. I think that's why it's so common. I feel like more than half of the machines and airdrops are Rafi Sai, and that's because it's the weakest one. So definitely go for Leo, and if you can't get your hand on Leo, go for Donnie. And that's pretty much the tier list for Fortnite Underground. And I recommend you check out this video next to me where I go further in detail about these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mythic items. There are some leaks that show that there will be one final item added to this season, and it's probably going to be the Portal Rift. So I don't expect this tier list to change all that much from here on out. This is pretty much how you're going to run this game the rest of the season to get those victory royales.